While Claire, Jamie, and Ian search for Roger, Jocasta has her own version of The Bachelorette going. Let's go. Outlander Season 4, Episode 11, If Not for Hope. Hey guys, it's Marsha, and welcome to Really Seriously For Real. We're going to do things a little differently today. I did want to take a little bit of a time out. There were a lot, more than normal I should say, that were being caught in the YouTube filter for bad words or inappropriate everything. Listen, there's nothing wrong with having a difference of opinion. That's good. But just like Brianna said to Lizzie in this week's episode, it's all good. We're not even going to talk about it anymore. Like that segue? Let's get into this. Claire, Jamie, Ian, they're off. They're trying to find poor Roger. Much love to Ian, being the one that can bridge the gap between his family and the Native American tribes, because he was able to make contact with the Cherokee to find out what would they know about the little trinket that he received in exchange for Roger's life with the Mohawk. So from this, he was able to garner, it was likely a particular tribe. So Jamie, he's just like, okay, well, can we use them as a guide? And Ian, he's like, listen, they don't have anything to do with this. Let's keep it moving. So it's really nice to see Ian maturing. He also was there trying to bridge the divide between Claire and Jamie, going to Claire and saying like, listen, come on, just talk to him. Just talk to him. He's so sorry. Claire's just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not even upset. Really, Claire? Come on. It all came to a head when Rollo, he shows up with this big femur or something. They follow him to the rest of the body. And Ian is able to realize that this is in fact the man that was with the tribe when he traded Roger. That could be Roger's fate. So it's pretty dire, but it does help open up the lines of communication. And so Claire and Jamie, they do finally have the discussion. And again, Jamie, he is just heartbroken. He's just so sad. Due to my impulsiveness, everything has just gone wrong. And Claire is just like, it's my fault. You know, if I just told you it was Bonnet, none of this would have happened. I'm sorry for keeping this secret. For her, it was like, that was something between her and Brianna last week. It's exactly like I said. Everyone meant well, but it was just a volatile and unfortunate situation at best. But they're all happy with each other now. Got a little muted sexy time in. Moving on, Marsalia, Fergus, and Murtagh. This one was an interesting one because we don't get to see a lot of Marsalia and Fergus. This was a welcome situation for me because number one, Marsalia, I like her. She has spunk. She was kind of coming in there like, you know, you got all this havoc is coming up in my house. I'm not liking this. And so she decides, she takes things into her own hands. One night, Murtagh, he's sleeping. And so she comes into the room where she's at because again, they're all holed up in her home. So she starts banging around some cups. And so she's like, oh, sorry, did I wake you? I loved it. But you know, listen, she wanted to have this conversation with Murtagh. That was the way to do it. This is the thing. Fergus, while he's trying to find information on Bonnet, he's also trying to find work. And the fact that he is missing a hand is plaguing him. You know, to him, he's just like not a whole man. So Marsalia tells Murtagh, like, listen, I want you to pull him into the regulators. Give him something to do. I'd rather have a whole man or none at all. So he does. He asks Fergus, he was like, listen, you want to join? I trust you, man, you know. And Fergus is like, thanks, but no thanks. I'm here for my family. Marsalia, she smiles to herself like, yes, you know. So in any case, they do know that now Bonnet is in town, his ship is in. So the fellas, they go to the tavern and they're watching out for Bonnet. Fergus, I think it was Fergus, he was like, oh, I got a plan. So I'm thinking some elaborate thing is about to happen, but no, it's just Murtagh. He goes up to Bonnet's room and basically knocks him out. And then Fergus shows up. I'm like, so that was the big plan? okay. Then they go to like the back alleyways and they have Bonnet tied up and he's still passed out. And then the cops, they show up and they're like, what you doing, man? So Murtagh, he gets Fergus out of it. He like punches him. He's like, go home to your family. So this way he doesn't look like he's involved. He tells the guards, he's like, oh, that's Stephen Bonnet. But the guards are like, okay, yeah, that's Stephen Bonnet. He escaped the gallows, but you're Murtagh Fitzgibbons. This is exactly what I was talking about. This is exactly what I was saying before. Jamie is like, go back to Wilmington and basically get yourself in trouble. That's basically what he said. But anyway, I guess we'll have to wait until next week to find out what happened with him. Now let's fast forward to Brianna at Jocasta's. She is very pregnant at this point, but she's basically keeping to herself. She's drawing. We understand that she is still harboring some serious anger towards Jamie. Phaedra, she comes in, and so she's like, okay, let's, we're gonna get you dressed. We're gonna make you a dress. And Brianna's like, I don't want to dress. What he's talking about. Oh, but Jocasta, she's having all these folks come in. Gonna be a great party, etc. So she doesn't want to go. She's like, oh boy, gotta bring out the big dogs. Jocasta, she finds Brianna, and so she sits down with her and she's like, okay, listen, you need to get out of your room. You need to get out of your room. You gotta stop sulking. You gotta like, come on. You need the company of people. Of course, we all know that there's more to this party, but Brianna, she's like, So now Jocasta, she goes even further. She really brings out the big dog. She starts reminiscing about Ellen, Brianna's grandmother. So now totally disarms Brianna. Brianna's like, oh. So she gets to hear the story of Ellen and that, oh, she's painted. And of course it just got Brianna like, all right, yes, let's do this. I'm down. So cut to the party. We meet Lieutenant Wolf again. And he was just a wolf, okay? Because basically it was just a showcase for Brianna to show her off to all these eligible gentlemen. So we have Lieutenant Wolf, and who's just basically undressing her with his eyes. It was completely skeezy and hilarious at the same time. And then you have, what was his name? All I know is that it's Pippin from Lord of the Rings. And so I guess he was there for second breakfast. I know it was a corny joke, but come on, Lord of the Rings is so good and I love this character. Anywho, I don't remember his name though. And then the other guy was a judge. So all of them were there. Now Pippin, what is his name? Anyway, so he's there and he's like, oh, let me show you my jewels. I'm like, really, guy? Brianna's just really trying to get out of that room. But then, here comes Lord John Grey. Oh my God, I tell you, this man, he had his own theme song. When he walked in, it was just like, oh. So when he showed up, I was done. I'm like, So they sit down to dinner. The other gentlemen, they're already like, well, I guess there goes that. Now this guy just showed up. All of our chances are just done. So, they do their little chit chat at dinner. And then Brianna, when the attention kind of turns to her, she plays a little psychology game on the guests. And so with the game, she's just like, imagine yourself walking, who you're walking with. Now imagine an animal, etc., etc. She asked the judge, so who are you walking with? What were you? Ultimately, she breaks it down like, oh, okay, well, that means that you likely are looking for forgiveness and that you have secrets. That was super interesting, so much so that he was incredibly uncomfortable and he walks out. He's like, oh, I just need to catch some air. So there was an interesting little look between him and Lord John Grey, or at least Lord John to the judge. So anyway, everyone starts whispering amongst themselves again, and Brianna asked Lord John, well, who are you thinking about? We all know who he immediately was thinking about. And so after a little nudging or whatever, he finally tells Brianna like, oh, okay, well, I was thinking about your dad. So she's like, really? Why? And so he had a nice save. He was just like, well, it's because you're standing in front of me. He asked me to check in on you. So now she goes on the defensive, like, why? What was the purpose? He's just like, he didn't tell me, he never would. He's an honorable man. This sets off Brianna because Brianna's just like, don't tell me about him being honorable. I'm like, come on, calm down. You just met the guy. Just take a breather, take a step back. That's basically what she does. And then she fakes that she fainting spell to get on out of there. So Lord John, he takes her into the parlor. And then here comes Lizzie. Like, oh no. Are you okay? And in your condition. Oh my God. I'm like, Lizzie, you and this overshare. Because Lord John is standing right there. And so Lizzie's like, should I go make your bed? Yes. Get on out of here, Lizzie. Lord John, he has a better idea of what's going on. You're with child, XYZ is happening. Okay, I get it, I understand. We're all good. He hands her a letter that Jamie had sent and he wanted to make sure that she got it. So I was like, oh, okay. So we got a little personal letter from Jamie. So this is good. She doesn't read it right away. Jocasta comes in after everyone leaves. Her and Jocasta have a little conversation. And so then Brianna's just like, okay, can I be frank? And then Jocasta's like you haven't been, She tells Brianna, the time for being picky has long gone. You're gonna have a child. And if you're not married, your child will be labeled a bastard and will have nothing. You already have nothing to your name. Like, I just, this is not the 1970s. Things are getting pretty bad. And Jocasta, she's telling her to give up hope because it's highly unlikely that there's going to be a good outcome. So you have to start making other plans. So she's being realistic. I can't fault Jocasta for being realistic. It makes sense, especially from what she knows and understands. Brianna has a lot on her mind, so she can't sleep. So now she starts hearing some banging in the hallway, and she goes outside and realizes that there's actual banging in the hallway. I know y'all can't stand me. Yeah, Lord John is getting busy with the judge. So now we know what secrets he was hiding. They didn't see her. She goes on back in her room. She wakes up the next day. Phaedra comes in like, guess what? You have a marriage proposal. And so then Brianna's like, I gotta get out of here. Just tell them, give me an hour. Lizzie comes in and she's like, get Lord John pronto. And she wastes no time. She's out there walking with them and she's just like, all right, listen, will you marry me? I mean, come on, did you not love his face when he's just smiling like, ha 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 ha, what? It was almost like, didn't it remind you of when Jamie had propositioned him, when he was asking him to look out for Willie? I mean, it was just perfection. I was laughing so hard when his face changed like that. But he was just like, no, this is not at all what Jamie meant by, looking out for you. And so then Brianna, she's like, well then, sorry, but I guess I'm just gonna have to tell everyone what I saw, what you were doing with one of my suitors. Lord John is like, oh, really, And then the funny thing is like, okay, I don't know, maybe the whole tit for tat and, oh, my anger matches your anger kind of thing works with her and Roger or her and her parents, whatever the case is. But Lord John, he is not one to be meddled with. So everything that she was hitting him with, he was hitting back like, okay, I'll do you one better. You want to keep going? Like, I just love him. And I love the fact that at the end of the day, he has a cool head. This is something that I really enjoy about his character because he can come in and assess the situation and let the maturity take over, because at a certain point, Brianna was just like, oh God, like she just realized that she just completely screwed up everything. And so then Lord John is like, all right, come on, let's go sit down. And this is where he learns about everything, the rape. And he still tells her, he's like, listen, I can't marry you, but don't lose hope because I have faith in your parents that they can bring Roger home. But she goes back to the house and, she's gonna have to submit to the marriage proposal. But then, just like the Prince Charming that he is, here comes Lord John sweeping in like, honey, did you tell them the good news? Oh my God. I tell you, Okay, I'm not gonna tell you. I say it all the time. I just love Lord John Grey. Anyway, moving on. So last week I asked if Roger would have gone back through the stones. So now I really didn't think that he was gonna go back to the stones either. And I was really hoping that they wouldn't do a repeat of, you know, like Claire being pulled from the stones in season 1, because then that would have been the same thing. But no, they had him at the top of the episode showering, and I'm like, wait, seriously? They got me. They got me. I thought he went back home. I'm like, I'll be god darn, this guy actually touched the stones. And I'm like, well, you better go back. You know, you better go back. Like, what the hell? He was daydreaming, recaptured by the Mohawk. They take him to the village, and then they have the most extreme Soul Train line beatdown ever. I mean, poor Roger. I feel so bad. He doesn't deserve any of that. No, not at all. That was the episode. Like I said, it was pretty good. I really enjoyed it. It gave me a good feel of all the characters, and that was necessary. So, question of the day. What do you think is gonna happen with Murtagh? Is he gonna get out of it? You tell me. Guys, if you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe, click the bell, so you're always notified when I upload a video. Thanks for watching. Until next time.